Mercy and Medicine. On today's program, I'll be having with me the Chief Whip of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Barrister Mohammed Tahir Monguno. Honorable, welcome to the program. Kindly introduce yourself to our viewers.
Well, my name is Mohammed Tahir Monguno. I represent Monguno, the Federal Constituency of Borno State, under the platform of APC, and I am the Chief Whip of the House of Representatives.
Sir, it is reported that Borno State is among the top states in Nigeria under the devastating attack of Boko Haram over the years, which has led to loss of lives, human rights abuse, and a lot of economic crisis. What measures has been taken to bring an end to this problem?
Well, as you rightly pointed out, as a result of the Boko Haram insurgency, Borno State, and indeed the Northeast as a whole, has witnessed tremendous devastation in terms of loss of human lives, devastation in terms of infrastructure, as well as economic activities. As a result of the Boko Haram insurgency, most of the people have migrated either to local communities, some are staying in IDP camps, some have even become refugees in other countries. So it has unleashed untold hardships and sufferings on the psyche of the people. And because of that, government, particularly the federal government, decided to establish the Northeast Development Commission with a view to rehabilitation and the reconstruction of infrastructure that has been devastated as a result of the Boko Haram insurgency. And then the aspect of human capital development. Most of these people have lost their means of livelihood. There is a need to, after the reconstruction and rehabilitation of destroyed infrastructure, there is a need to relocate them back to their respective ancestral homes and communities so that they can pick the pieces of their lives. So, and because of that, there is need for training, retraining, and empowerment of these people on various aspects of trade and agriculture, so that their means of livelihood that has been lost as a result of Boko Haram insurgency will be restored. And then we have a very dynamic and people-oriented governor in the person of Governor Mohammed, who has been working tirelessly around the clock with a view to resettling these people back to their respective communities. And it is something that is not hidden to the whole world, that he has been traversing the nooks and crannies of the state, handing out palliatives to IDPs and even to people that are refugees in other parts of the world, particularly in Niger, Cameroon, and Chad. And most of the infrastructure has also been rebuilt as a result of the intervention of not only the Northeast Development Commission, but the intervention of the governor. As I can speak to you, most of these communities have been settled. For example, people like places like Marte, Baga, Damasak, all these places have become ghost towns before. But because of the effort, the zeal, determination, as well as enthusiasm displayed by the governor, most of these people have been resettled. They have been empowered. They have destroyed infrastructure like hospitals, schools, worship centers, and what have you have been reconstructed and rehabilitated, and they have returned back to their respective communities, and they are engaging in meaningful means of livelihood. So, kudos to our governor. He deserves a part of the back for this tireless effort of resettling our people. And then also we thank the federal government for the establishment of the Northeast Development Commission that will be charged with the responsibility of the reconstruction, rehabilitation.
The governor of Borno State stated in one of his speech that there is need to sanitize the security bodies or organizations such as the army, police, and the possibility of federal government to hire mechanisms in resolving the security challenge. Do you think this can bring an end to this ugly
Well,
situation?
the sanitization he is talking about is in the sense of allowing the Nigerian army, giving some legal room and fiat to the Nigerian army to massively recruit people from Borno State, young men and women who are already volunteered themselves to be part of the civilian JTF, so that they will be recruited into the army, trained and armed with a view to being posted back to Borno State to fight insurgents. That is what he's clamoring for. And he's also clamoring for also same to be extended to the police as well as the Nigerian Civil Defense and Security Corps. So that those young guys, young men and women who have already sacrificed their lives in the service of their fatherland in the form of enlisting into the civilian JTF are recruited into the army, the police, and the civil defense, trained and then armed with a view to defending their homelands and their local communities, because they know the terrain very well, they know the people very well, they know the culture and what they do. It is their homeland, and therefore they are given the determination and the zeal on their part to fight in defense of their father, in defense of their communities and homeland. That is what the context is talking about.
Okay, oh, the situation is quite devastating. But again, rumor has it that the Boko Haram is being sponsored by certain politicians or persons. Can we trace this to be true?
Well, I'm not aware that Boko Haram is sponsored by politicians. I'm not aware. Boko Haram is a byproduct of religious fundamentalists and religious zealots that has now assumed a criminal dimension to the extent of now killing people, extorting money from them, going to their farmlands, taking out their farm products, rustling their cattle and other domestic animals and what have you. It has metamorphosed into a criminal organization. Initially, it was purely a religious organization that has the zeal and then the zeal to bring about the strict application of the Sharia law. That is their initial, but over the years, they have succeeded in recruiting a lot of unemployed youths and what have you, and it has now transformed into a criminal organization, that criminal terrorist organization that is now terrorizing people, collecting their property, killing people, wrestling their animals, taking their farm produce and whatever. I don't think it's sponsored by politicians. I don't have that information with me. One, I am not part of the security agencies. It is the security agencies that would be in a better position to tell you whether it is being sponsored by certain politicians for their own selfish interests or not. But for me, from my own ordinary look of things and from the information available to me as a person that is not part of the security organization, I don't think that Boko Haram is being sponsored by politicians.
Okay, sir. Now, what measures do you think can be put in place, or do you think the federal government should put in place to totally eradicate this ugly situation surrounding Borno State and the entire?
Not only Boko Haram insurgency, even the issue of banditry in the northwest, the militancy of youths in other parts of the country. There are two approaches, kinetic and non-kinetic approach. Kinetic in the sense that the ongoing war against these terrorists should continue and should be sustained with all the tempo that it deserves with a view to eradicating them. And then the non-kinetic approach is by way of remediating the untold economic hardship that has been unleashed on the people, particularly in Borno State, which is where as a result of the decision of the lake chat. The lake chat has been a source of livelihood to millions of people in terms of fishing, farming, and the other multiplier effect that the presence of the lake chat has generated. With the rescission of lake chat, millions of people lost their means of livelihood in terms of fishing, in terms of trading, in terms of farming, and other multiplier the chain of industry that the presence of the lake chat has created, that has employed a lot of people, has been lost. So because of that, the Boko Haram got a veritable recruitment avenue to recruit all these unemployed youths that got to have means of livelihood, means of survival as a result of the presence of the lake chat. So one of the solutions which the federal government is vigorously pursuing is, which is a long-term measure, not a short-term measure, it's a long-term measure, is the transfer of water from River Obango in Congo with a view to recharging the lake chat, so that people will now regain their means of livelihood. Then there is also the need for massive empowerment of youths, creating employment for youths in terms of engaging them in meaningful employment activities like training them to be artisans, training them on various aspects of farming, aquaculture, and agriculture, so that they can have means of livelihood to sustain themselves and deprive Boko Haram of fertile recruitment ground to recruit these youths to commit their heinous crimes and activities. These are some of the measures that were taken by the government with the view to making this ugly scenario in the world. Kinetic, that is to sustain the ongoing fight against terrorism in any part of the country. The non-kinetic is the economic measures of trying to engage the youth and other people to have a means of livelihood and they engage in meaningful economic activity.
Okay, sir. Let's deviate a little from there. There is a trending issue on the ground, and Nigerian women are yelling at the bill that the House did not pass or that was stepped down. Can you, as a federal lawmaker, comment anything in regards to that?
Well, personally, if you go through the records of the House of Records, which I think one day it will be available for Nigerians to see who voted for what. I'm one of those who voted for yes for all the women-related bills, because I believe that women constitute a bulk of our population, if not 51% or even 52% of our population. As a result of certain historical factors, certain cultural factors, socio-economic factors, and what have you, they are relegated to the background in society over the years. And because of that, there is a need for government to take deliberate steps with a view to incorporating them into governance. Because if not through these deliberate steps of trying to bring them at par with their men counterpart, it is very difficult for them, you allow them like that to compete with men in our society as it is presently constituted. It is very difficult for them to compete and then come at par with the men. So that's why there is need, those of us that are advocating for women participation in governance, that there is need for government or for the legislature to come out with deliberate policies like the special seats, like the affirmative action. These are some of the instruments that can be deployed with a view to bringing about women participation in governance. Other countries also took deliberate steps like that, like Rwanda and another country. It's not that by allowing women to compete with men that they are able to get at least 50-50 or 60-40 in their parliament or in their government, in the executive arm of government, where you have about 50% women and 50% men. No, it is not through the electoral process, but it was through deliberate steps of bringing them at par with men, especially in our society like Nigeria, which is a patriarchal society. Nigerian society is a patriarchal society, whereby there is the dominance of men over women. So if you allow them to compete in the normal electoral process, definitely the women will come out, will defeat men in the electoral process, but not all women. Very difficult for them to compete. So there is it for a deliberate policy like that to bring them at par with men, especially against the backdrop of the fact that our society is a patriarchal society.
Okay, sir. Speaking to the spokesperson of the House of Representatives, he said that it has been assured that the bill will be revisited. So, what should women expect? What should Nigerian women expect after the bill is being revisited?
Well, we have revisited the bill. For example, on the issue of citizenship, which has been corrected. The issue of if a man marries a lady that is non-Nigerian, she automatically becomes a Nigerian. But the reverse is the case. If, for example, a woman marries a non-Nigerian, a man marries a non-Nigerian woman, she cannot be a Nigerian citizen automatically. So these are some of the discrepancies that have been taken off and then reversed during our last sitting. But the issue of the other bills of the special seat for the executive, there are a lot of constitutional issues that were involved that need to be sorted out before that issue of special seat will see the light of day.
Now, finally, before we come to the end of the program, as an APC loyalist, the National Convention is slated to hold on the 26th of March. Would you want to comment on that?
Well, our National Convention is going to be held on the 26th of March. It is sacrosanct. It's not going to be held. And it is my hope and prayer that as a party, at the end of the day, we'll come out stronger by having a leadership of the party that is free, fair, and transparent in the conduct of running the affairs of the party, so that at the end of the day, those that are going to fly the flag of the party in the 2023 elections are candidates that are acceptable to the majority of the membership of the party and indeed Nigerians, so that we come out victorious in the 2023 elections.
Okay, finally, sir, talking about the 2023 election.
Finally.
Yes, finally. Talking about the 2023 forthcoming election, there is this rumor that the APC party has been in some sort of disagreement and instability. Don't you think that would affect the 2023 presidential election?
Well, APC as an organization that consists of people of diverse backgrounds, definitely there has to be disagreements in the process of running the party. Definitely, because these are people of diverse background, diverse interests that have decided to come together for the purpose of rescuing Nigeria. So in the process, definitely there has to be divergent interests and whatever. But at the end of the day, I assure you that we are going to come out stronger and then continue our winning streak in the 2023 elections, in spite of our diversity and the disagreements and whatever. At the end of the day, the interests of the party and then the interests of Nigeria will prevail over and above our own individual interests.
Okay, inshallah. All right, at this point, we'll come to the end of the program. I would love to appreciate your audience, sir. Very, very grateful. Thank you for your audience. And to our viewers, at this point, we'll bring to the end of the program. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram at Prime Reporters News, and of course on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, put on your notification button to get updates from Prime Reporters News. Thank you very much.